Hey, what's up, everybody? Today we're coming at you with our spoiler-filled discussion of Rogue One. I'm David,
I'm David.
and so let's get into this.
I just want to get it out here right now. Like, the only thing that I was kind of like, I can't believe they did that, but okay, whatever, was just the moment. Can't remember his name. Koenig, whatever. The one
guy.
that took, the one
The
that
main
took
guy.
Jane Erso's father to build the Death Star is reporting to Darth Vader. He says something, so does that mean I'm in charge? The Darth Vader, and also he starts choking, and Darth Vader, with his back to him, slowly turns around. You see his hand in the little position, and he's like, "Don't choke on your progress," or whatever. And I'm like,
Don't choke on your own aspirations.
"Yeah." I'm like, that's such a not Darth Vader thing to
That was
do.
awesome. I like that.
I mean, choking him and telling him, remember your place or whatever. But just the whole pun, just
the one-liner.
yeah. I
Cheesy,
mean,
too
it's not Arnold Vader. Come on.
You should have said, "Stick around."
Seriously, but again, it's a minor thing, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. And the only other thing that I'm like just puzzled why I even made it in the movie when there seemed to be so much better footage that was shown in the trailer but not in the movie. For one, okay, they gave us probably one of the best droids yet in K2SO. He was funny, he was a badass,
Witty.
and he
Likeable.
didn't trust Jane at first because of her past, and it really felt authentic. And just him not having filters and straight telling it how it is was awesome. And even kind of doing the little nod of trying to tell him the odds, and he doesn't want to know, but doing it in more like friendly banter way than just shut up, you stupid machine.
Yeah.
But then they had to go and do a quick, just a little, maybe 2-3 second, even with dialogue of their C-3PO and R2-D2. And
Just they shoved in cameos.
it just felt a little forced. Not enough to ruin the movie. It's
Yeah.
not like we're here now and they're doing their own thing. It was just a brief little moment, and it just felt like they just did such a good job setting up a better droid than they ever have before. And I mean, I get the popularity with BB-8. He's cute, he's funny, and he's got his own little attitude and just beeps and boops.
That's droids for you.
But yeah, with K2SO, he feels kind of like a droid you can bro down with or freaking go bar hopping with.
But yeah, the R2D2 thing and the C3PO thing. I understand why they felt like they should. I mean, it was probably like a two-sided coin. Like, okay, we need to shove these in here for A, the fans that like these droids, and B, the people who only are familiar with these droids because they're freaking everywhere, and then also to show that why these droids are where they're at the beginning of the movie, because they say, oh, we're going on here now, okay, to tie it into the beginning of A New Hope, basically. But it was very shoved in there. It felt really like, oh, we need to shove this in here.
Well, and like the brief ones here and there, and I mean, even the two freaking the I don't remember their names, but the freaking fuzzy bug dude, the mutated face that gave Luke shit in A New Hope.
Got his arm cut off. In the
Yeah,
cantina.
they made a brief cameo.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
That didn't feel as forced, though. That
Yeah, they
didn't
was
feel
just
like
there.
it had to be done. They're at a place that, a lot of scoundrel types hang out, that them leaving made sense to the fact that, not only is Imperial fist squeezing tighter on Jeddah, but with what initially happens of them blowing up the hub city, it makes sense for them to disappear from there and end up maybe in Tatooine, which, again, they're not like out in the middle of Tatooine. They're in Mos Eisley, the hub, the freaking spaceport.
Scum of villainy. And that didn't feel forced at all because it was actually a part of the scene, whereas the R2-D2 and C3PO thing was like a completely separate shot, like they added it after the fact almost.
Yeah, and to me that kind of, I feel, lessens the fact that the movie can stand on its own having to do forced cameos like that.
Yeah.
Everything else they put in felt fine. Just that one right there felt forced, felt more pandering to the old-time fans that are already criticizing the movie before watching it, that it's not a Star Wars movie. And yes, this is a Star Wars movie. It might not be the grand scale that, the first or second trilogy was.
Yeah, it's like a side
huge
story.
story arcing, but it sets up enough that these characters played a part and they did what they had to do, but also kind of shows more of the underbelly and the other stuff outside of, just the rebellion of what's going on in the galaxy, especially people's opinions towards the Empire.
Yeah, definitely. And it also shows the aspect of there are people who are for the Empire because they're more or less manipulated by the Empire to think that the Empire is good, but then there are the Alliance planets that are like basically no better. They're like, no, the Empire puts on a pretty face, but behind the scenes they're treacherous, they're bad. They enslave people.
They secretly built a death weapon that destroys planets, that leveled an entire city with a nuclear blast at lowest power.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did this without the Senate's approval, and that's the thing too, is this movie gets political without getting like
overly political.
episode 2 or episode 1 political on you.
Yeah.
It says it pretty much sets up the Senate. They need to find favor with. They don't know about what they can do with the Death Star, and they build it in secret. And now they can be like, "Hey, Senate, look at my giant swinging cod. You want to mess with me now?"
Yeah, they do just enough political stuff to get you to understand what's going on, without being too political and freaking boring the crap out of you.
And it really sets the pace too when they get to the rebellion and they're trying to recruit Jen Erso. Which I have to say it like that because that's the only way I believe she's referred to, except for was it Stardust by her father.
First and last name.
Always. So there's senators that don't agree with the Emperor and the Empire and aren't going to side with them. And honestly, if you think about it, the way they did it before, the one thing I seem kind of like too much in episode 7, which kind of makes sense now, is the Emperor tried to deal with the Senate, tried to make them come to his side, make him understand. Yes, they had a few branch off, but it was the rebellion, which seeing that the rebellion was falling apart until Jen and her, band of misfits decided to do this because they had to, went and steal the Death Star plans that the rebellion would have ended right there had they not been able to do that.
Exactly.
So in episode 7, when they just blow up the Senate planets, the main political hub, now, the New Order is free to do whatever the hell they want. Seeing that more, that, the buildup of that it makes sense now that, Snoke and whoever's allied with him are doing it their own way. They're not asking permission. They're just doing it.
Yeah, they're just doing it.
So this movie kind of helps set that, the Emperor wasn't necessarily evil, but he was manipulating to gain more power. I do like the fact that they actually delve more into Jedi history in this movie without actually featuring just Darth Vader.
Yeah, exactly.
Is any form of that culture.
And maybe arguably Donnie Yen's character, even though he said he wasn't a quote-unquote Jedi.
Well, I think they're really, especially with episode 7 and hence here and there in 4 and 6, that, Han Solo might be a little Force sensitive. And I believe the thing is they're setting up that the Force can affect people unknowingly.
Right.
And it's kind of more of almost like an all-knowing being or something to that effect, that is affecting their destiny and their path. But the way they portray it in this one is like, it's there, people believe in it, but also people don't, because what has the Force ever done for me kind of attitude. I mean, even the banter between the Donnie Yen's character and the guy with the big guns. Oh God, I can't remember his name.
Can't remember his name either.
But he the monk type's all like, yes, the Force guides me, and his counterpart's all like, it's not the Force, it's me. You would have been dead by now had I not been getting you out of trouble. But then watching some of the things he does, I mean, taking down, what is it? When he took down the TIE fighter with his little bow gun,
his bow
Nerf gun looking thing.
Yeah, his Nerf
I
cannon.
mean, he's a blind man.
Uh-huh.
I mean, besides questioning the legitimacy of how blind he actually is,
he's Daredevil.
Without some sort of connection to the Force, he wouldn't have been able to do the stuff he does.
Exactly. Yeah, I kind of chalk it up to maybe he says he can't use the Force, but in a way he kind of does, because in, like I think you said earlier, like the Force intuition, or maybe he has like luck of the Force or something like that.
Well, and it could be more of a, instead of an active use of the Force, like, Force push or the mind control or Force choke
Or like
or
a
lightning.
passive
It's more of a
ability.
passive that he does his little chant and he just goes about, I am going to do this. I mean, when he did that final walk to hit the switch so that they can get the broadcast signal out, watching him do that as the elite of the elite stormtroopers were taking down everyone around him but completely missing him up until he completed his task.
Yeah, almost like his chant was a meditation and tapping into the Force to a certain degree, and the Force was like kind of passively going through him to make it so that he made it to that switch. And that kind of goes into one thing that I liked about that whole like third act was that it was definitively a team effort on everybody's part. If it wasn't for every member of that team, they would have failed, because it was up to them to hit that switch. It was up to the pilot to get the thing hooked up, to get the message to them to take out that shield so that they can get the beam to the Corellian Corvette.
Yeah,
or,
and I mean,
freighter or whatever.
I mean, like we said, this is spoilers, so I'm just gonna put it out there. Everybody dies.
Yeah.
So, I have to say, out of all the deaths, though, and I mean, after the first one, you kind of saw it coming, but I actually felt kind of like sad when K2SO got taken out after he actually came around to trusting Jen Erso.
Yeah, him and her had a nice character arc with their relationship.
He saw her for, she was raised by Forrest Whitaker's character. I can't remember his name either. I'm horrible with names.
I think it started with a T.
Yeah, but anyways, and he, though was part of the rebellion, was like a extremist,
Exactly.
And he taught her everything he knew about, the seedy side and trickery and assassinations and all this.
That's why she basically
this
she was
underhanded good stuff. So yeah, when we first see her, she's or come back to her older, she's in prison working some mining colony or whatever. So K2, knowing this about her, does not trust her initially and thinks she's only saying what she's got to say and doing what she's got to do. And then just that part in the end when she hands him a blaster because what's his name won it?
Yeah.
Cassian?
Cassian?
Yeah, I can't remember. But anyways, he never gave him a blaster, and he just sit there. He's wasting stormtrooper after stormtrooper, and then finally,
without looking,
his last stand, he finds what they need and locks them in, and destroys the console as they take him out. Which it just felt so like wow. He sacrificed himself, and just his words to Jen at the end. There it's like. He's like pretty much tells her, I can trust you now because you're a good person. I mean, I'm not quoting nothing here, but that's a gist of it right there. And I mean, slowly as they fall one by one, and I mean, it's kind of cringeworthy with the Cassian being taken out and then coming back in the end to save the day, which the friend that I saw it with kind of pointed out is like, they kind of squandered that there, making Jen Erso the main center, but she still has to be rescued by a man. I mean, isn't that kind of backpedaling a little bit? But I mean, in the end, I believe it all played out well, and I mean, everybody had their story and had their reason, and as they collected more and more of this ragtag band of misfits, it felt natural.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I came in expecting them all to die, but then halfway through the movie, I thought, oh, maybe these two are gonna like live on or something like that, because they kind of would give each other this look every once in a while, as if the filmmakers were thinking about having a romantic thing. And I'm like, oh, I hope they don't do that. That's really kind of cliche.
Oh yeah, between Jen Erso and Cassian, they kind of because I mean they kind of have this chemistry, and had it been any other type of movie and any director, you'd see them making out during their final scene.
Yeah, exactly.
But the fact
as they blew up.
The way they built the character with him kind of like lying to her and actually sent to kill her father and saying I have to do for orders, which they set him up as that kind of rebel that he killed an informant just to get escape. That way the informant wouldn't leak anything that he gave to Cassian, and it's like, I mean,
or like give him up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he'll do what it takes for the rebellion. And the fact that when it came out and she didn't trust him at first, but at the end they're pretty much embracing each other as their death is approaching. It felt that they've created a bond, but it didn't feel like forced romance.
Yes, exactly. And I like the end where they were just like they like hugged each other because they learned to trust each other, because one of their first scenes together is like she had the gun. And he's like, where did you get that? Like, he doesn't trust her. Like, they don't trust each other. And she says, trust goes both ways. And during their time together, they learned to trust each other. And it kind of shows that they went their arc was over. They fully trusted each other. They succeeded. And they were about to get blown up. There was no way to escape. And so they just hugged instead of, like you said, making out on the beach like any other filmmaker would have done.
Yeah, they kind of implied that had they survived, maybe there could have been something.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy that everybody got their arc, even with the monk guy with his Force beliefs and his buddy that has he pretty much believes is like, I have a big gun and that's what helps me survive and helps you survive. That even in the end, when he's doing his final march after his best friend just gets taken out, and he stands up to the elite shadow troopers, and he's just mowing them down, taking a hit here, taking a hit there, but chanting the whole time.
Yep.
Was it I am
the Force and the Force is in me or something?
Yeah,
like
I am the Force is in me. And the fact that they set him up that he didn't believe in the Force and that it's just a bunch of hokey mumbo jumbo, that in the end that he, in honor of his friend and to get his small vengeance, even knowing you can almost see it, like, God, the acting in this movie was on par too, because you could almost see it in his face that he knew this was his last stand and he's going to take out as many of these guys as he can.
Yep.
And watching him just level one after
even
another,
after getting shot.
Yeah, and I have to say I'm kind of a sucker for scenes like that when they're doing like their last stand. I mean, when the scene in The Magnificent Seven and a couple other movies like that is like, oh, it's so heartwarming. It's like these, especially when they're doing it like in heroic, either avenging or protecting someone. I just love those last fights where there's like one after another until they finally fall. I mean, I love those scenes. But yeah, it was well done, and he, even though not as big, had his own arc there. That in the end, he used the faith of his friend that he kind of mocked in the beginning.
Yeah, every character kind of had their arc. One thing that I did feel when I watched it was that I didn't feel like they gave the characters like enough time, like screen time, I guess, to develop their personalities. They kind of just covered the bases without getting any more in depth, really. Like Cassian had like one line of backstory. We know Jyn Erso's backstory.
Well, they definitely, I mean, the focus was on Jyn Erso mostly.
Right, exactly.
And I mean,
she's the main character.
That's kind of the problem, because I mean, like the other movies planned to come out, with the getting into Han Solo and what he was doing before, chilling at Mos Eisley, waiting for Guido to put a bullet in him or whatever. And yeah, I mean, the focus was Jyn Erso. Cassian had a little bit, and I think everybody else was more of their character was set. This is who they are.
Exactly.
But eventually grew over a little bit more of than just their archetype or their place.
Yeah, like they had character arcs.
Even with the pilot character, I mean, he's an ex Imperial pilot that heard what he's gonna do, talk to Jyn Erso's father and
Galen Erso.
Yeah, Galen Erso, and he kind of swayed him to another side and deciding to take these plans and take him to the rebellion. I mean, he seemed kind of like a little sniveling cowardice type, especially after dealing with Forrest Whitaker's character and whatever Cthulhu creature he got fed to. Seriously, that was a little much, but I mean, they're expanding the
universe.
The universe, and yeah, why not there be some giant slug monster that can read minds and make you tell the truth and make you go crazy?
That was a great thing about this movie.
But yeah, in the end, he actually died heroically, even mouthing off to the stormtroopers that were about to blast him.
Dude, that last scene with Darth Vader, oh my god. I was like, my jaw was on the floor. That was so freak. When he force ceilinged that guy,
Oh
my
yeah,
freaking god, dude.
choking one guy while slicing another, and just the darkness. He just all of a sudden his lightsaber lights it up, and just like, oh shit's about to go down.
There's so much tension in that scene. Like,
And you
oh
can
my
actually
God.
see the fear in these these actors' faces that, oh my god, shit just got real.
Like, we can't
and
stop
him
this guy.
screaming
Unstoppable force.
screaming to open the door until he just decides to pass it on.
Yeah.
But I mean, think about it. We haven't seen Darth Vader in any kind of fight since Return of the Jedi.
Unless you count
in
episode 3.
actual Darth Vader.
Unless he's just saying, no.
Yeah, we don't want to get into that. That's a whole topic. Another video.
That was the best scene of the movie, though.
Shut up, David. But yeah, no, just having Darth Vader in there and playing, Darth Vader's castle, his own, like.
That was the asteroid, right? Or was that the prison?
I didn't catch the name, but yeah.
Or was that Mustafar? I heard it was Mustafar, I think.
I didn't catch the name, and I don't know anything about it, but it being a molten lava planet and his castle just overlooking like a lava waterfall like thing, a lava fall, I guess. And seeing that, yeah, he can't spend all the time in his suit.
He
the
needs
fact
the
that we're
back to-
actually, I mean, it's kind of reminiscent in what Empire Strikes Back when they approach him and he's in his little cone thing with his helmet off.
Right.
That, yeah, he still needs treatment. Even though he is mostly machine.
Yeah, because he would die without his suit, basically.
Yeah, so him in his own personal bathtub tank really adds to that. Especially, if I remember correctly, it showed him without his arms and legs on. He was just a torso hanging out in that thing.
That was awesome.
And,
that was
I mean,
crazy.
even though brief as it was, it's like, okay, he still needs treatment for his fleshy human bits. He's not like General Grievous level freaking all machine. Right. He still needs to be healed. He still needs to be worked on. It's still affecting him. Mm-hmm. And seeing that is like, damn.
Many almost 20 years later.
And now knowing that in the end, it kind of really honestly helped me in the end with the turn when he decides to save Luke and throw the Emperor over. It's like showing him like this is he is more human than it shows.
I thought Darth Vader's scenes were good. That last scene was amazing. I thought it was interesting how they decided to end basically at minutes before A New Hope, and seeing like Leia's face. Me knowing Star Wars so well, like I'm like, oh, that's CG. Just I know that that's like CG. It looked really good,
yeah.
But in my mind,
yeah.
I know, okay, that's CG Leia.
I mean, Carrie Fisher, I mean, for her age, doesn't look too bad, and the lifestyle she lived, supposedly. Yeah. But yeah, there's no amount of makeup that could have made her look that young, that good again. But going on that again, how did you think about it? Because honestly, all the CG face mapping, even though knowing it's CG, because we had some of the actors that passed away, some of them are well older than their original counterparts. But in my opinion, I felt it was done well enough that it was passable. It didn't feel out of place.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, that's CG face, but it's done so well. I'm like, I want to like this, but in the back of my mind, I know that it's CG. I know that it's not real. Like with Tarkin looked amazing, but I know that it's CG, and I know it's probably not going to age well.
Especially doing his reflection off the window overlooking the planet.
Part of me hopes that they just kept it at that and not show his face less. But because I know over time, it's not going to age well like practical effects would. God, it looks so good.
I have a feeling modern CG will hold out a lot better than CG when it first started up. But I mean, you look at films like Jurassic Park and stuff like that took the extra effort to detail every little crack and crevice, and I felt they did that. Especially, I mean, with Tarkin being an older gentleman, had a few wrinkles and blemishes and stuff, and that, I mean, it felt maybe a little bit more work on the mouth mapping would better, but texture wise and shadowing wise, it felt like he was standing there.
One thing I didn't notice, however, was when he was moving, it was much more apparent, but it's still the best I've ever seen in a movie. Definitely better than Tron.
Yeah, I mean, I could say that all the way back with Ant-Man and young almost fresh off the Wall Street freaking
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas. Yeah, like straight out of the 80s. I mean, it looked like he walked off of the set of one of his freaking, like, I don't know, Basic Instinct or whatever he was
Romancing the Stone.
Yeah, and straight into to do that scene in S.H.I.E.L.D. So, yeah, they've definitely come up with the whole digital face mapping and making some of these older actors appear young, which really helps broaden the horizon what they can do with these movies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely better than having to try to find someone young that looked like they might have looked, and it sometimes off-putting because they don't.
So yeah, like the only negatives that I really have for this on this movie are really just small nitpicks with the CG faces, with some of the character developing. I felt like there could have been a little bit more. One more thing is that when they were at the Kyber Crystal refinery town, when Forrest Whitaker's troops were going into attacking, they all had turbans on, and I'm like, is this ISIS?
Yeah, and the fact that they call them, they're not officially part of the Rebel Alliance, but they're crazy extremists.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at there.
Yeah,
but
it's really on the nose.
Most
terrorism.
of them were it wasn't that bad, but I see what you're saying, and I mean the setup, the fact that it's yet another desert planet,
almost like a Middle Eastern vibe.
But I do like speaking of Jeddah though, is like the fact, okay, this planet is called Jeddah. It has giant statues of Jedi. It has the crystals that the Jedi use to manufacture or use in their lightsabers.
Yeah, that was the Jedi Temple.
Yeah, the fact that they again open up more history without a bunch of Jedis running around and stuff like that. That, you know, setting up, because I'm pretty sure a lot of ask is like, where did Luke get his crystal to build his own lightsaber? Well, he could have easily now made a pit stop at Jeddah.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
or somewhere that might have these crystals.
Yeah. And that's one major positive of this movie, is that it expanded upon the other movies. You know, it's not just this small story by itself. It's a part of these other movies, but it's not only a part of these movies, it also expands on the lore and expands on the universe, showing you different environments, like the tropical planet.
Oh,
we haven't seen Tropical Planet in Star Wars.
And was it Kavik or whatever? Yeah, or the dark, stormy, freaking cliffside planet that's raining.
Yeah.
I mean, Yavin and the Death Star are the only already seen environments and locations. Right. So, yeah.
They even expanded on Yavin a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit more in Yavin. I mean, not too much, but yeah. And, of course, they still had the guy with his radar gun, which...
Yeah. Like sitting on there. Crow's nest or
friend I
whatever.
went seeing it with brought up good questions. How does he get in and out of that? My only guess is like on a
turbo lift,
scissor lift or something, so it raises itself or whatever. But yeah, I do like the fact that they really show that he plays an important part of incoming and outgoing vehicles. That when they decide to hijack it and take off on their own, he's kind of sitting there looking like, wait, what's going on?
Not even noticing.
He's like, the plane just took off.
I thought the same exact thing. Oh, another small thing that I just remembered is when she was a little kid in the first scene, what's his face picks up a stormtrooper toy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would she have a stormtrooper toy? Don't they hate the stormtroopers? I don't know. Maybe it was all for like looks or
well, and I mean,
I
you can't buy your rebel toy without having something to fight, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too. I mean,
but also, I mean, it didn't really set up that, you know, Kalen Erso hated the Empire. It's Kalen Erso didn't agree with what they were doing in building the Death Star. I mean, this is me just being presumptuous and taking it from what my opinion and what I got from it, but that he wasn't on bad terms and didn't really disagree with the Empire, but he disagreed with their methods a little bit more.
Yeah, that's why he didn't want to go back, and that's why he was staying away from them.
Because if he truly hated the Empire, he would have fought.
Yeah, he probably would have joined the rebellion.
Especially after they killed his wife, he would have fought. So he went back. And to go on about it, yes, it finally closed the deal on the biggest plot hole in any major movie ever.
Why would they have the exhaust port there? Such a
and the fact, I mean, even if you look at it the way it looks, but the way they set it up is like any it's it's a potato in a
like
tailpipe.
chain
is
reaction,
what it is.
and basically.
Yeah, and the fact that he did it for a purpose, whether for not necessarily for Jen herself, but and he says it, if the rebellion ever got their hands on the plans, that they could find this flaw.
Yeah.
But he's buried it so well that he had to kind of get the ball rolling, sending this message with the pilot, and I mean, seeing Jen Erso's reaction to her message from her father, I mean, and then it getting destroyed and her trying to explain herself, and that she's finally on board with this whole rebellion thing, but they don't believe her because it's her word versus no one's really.
And that I thought that was great that he's like, you know what? I'm not gonna fight you guys. I'm gonna join you because I can fight better from the inside.
Yeah, I mean it's.
I can fuck you royally from the inside.
Yeah. Yeah. What better way to take down the system than work it from the inside out?
Exactly.
And I mean, it felt, not forced, even though everybody could also almost guess it, but
Get it forced.
And I do love the battles were great, and I mean the pacing was done well enough that I didn't feel lost at any time or like it was rushed.
Yeah, the pacing was good.
Just a few clips here and there, and like the whole Cassin, when he's meeting the guy in the back alley, is like the only reason they showed this planet is for him to meet this guy in the back alley and set up that he kills him after he gets the information because the stormtroopers are coming down, or he kills some stormtroopers and they're coming after him now, and the guy can't escape, so he kills him. So that way he doesn't get captured to leak the information. It felt like the scene, it was needed, but not fully, really.
Yeah, just kind of a quick introduction to his character, basically. But one more thing to bring up is the final space battle with the Star Destroyers and the...
seeing the actual Rebel ships firing.
Dude, and the Hammerhead, hitting the Star Destroyer and ramming that shit.
Oh, my God.
My jaw was on the floor again.
I was about to lose it because I mean... Why would you build a ship like that? I mean, you've seen them before. The Hammerhead's been around in the Star Wars mythos, but to actually
we haven't really seen them fight
in action. The only thing that I kind of felt about this fight, even though they kind of had to win, but they essentially did lose, but they succeeded in what they needed to do.
Exactly.
Is one question comes up is when the main fight in the end of Return of the Jedi, they seem almost clueless about how to take down a Star Destroyer until the one dude accidentally crashes into it. Yeah. They took down 2 in that fight alone.
Yeah, because when he's crashed into the cockpit or whatever?
No, when the guy took out one of the shield generators or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like after that fight over Kursic or whatever it's called. I keep wanting to call it Kashyyyk, but tropical planet. Let's just
Imperial Database Planet. Tropical planet.
Yeah, it's Hawaii, the planet.
Hawaii Imperial.
But anyways, it just brought up a question to me.
Oh.
It's like, really, they took down 2 and it's beautifully done, and it wasn't easy to say the least. But it was nice that how are we gonna get this shield down? I don't know. Let's throw something bigger at it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that makes me think of the walkers too, because the X-wings were taking down the walkers pretty effortlessly, it seems like. But these walkers seemed like they were either unfinished or just prototypes. Or something.
A couple of them they had big gaping holes in the middle.
Yeah, I liked that a lot.
But also, you think about it, going back to Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, the speeders weren't set up for massive battle.
They're not as powerful as the X-wings either.
So, all they have is grappling hooks and lasers.
Yeah.
The lasers could probably punch through eventually.
Yeah.
But these were fully completed AT-ATs.
Yeah, not just like prototypes. These seemed like prototypes to me.
Yeah, they're unfinished, like they're being constructed.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
And the fact that, they're X-wings. They have 4 as opposed to 2 blasters. And also, the first one that gets taken down does get... I do love that shot, by the way, when the guy with the heavy guns grabs a rocket launcher and hits it,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it kind of turns, and it almost doesn't look like real.
like, bitch,
look back,
bitch, please.
Yeah, does that really? That's all you got? And then it gets taken out by an X-wing. I mean, and X-wings have their photon torpedoes and whatnot, but I do like the nod that yes, you got your gold leader, you got your red leader, and I mean,
I miss Porkins though.
yeah, sadly he wasn't in it.
Dude, I still think he would have been
but
hilarious
both Gold
if he was
Leader
like a
and
skinny
Red
guy.
Leader were the original actors, and yeah, that I heard that was pretty cool. But the fact that the call sign gets shown how it opens up for Luke Skywalker to get it, because Red 5 doesn't make it back from that battle.
I did not even notice that. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's
See,
one thing
details.
I noticed.
Focus on
They
details,
clearly
too.
called Red 5. Was it Red 5? You got a bogey on your tail, and he got one of them off, but he eventually got taken out. And I mean, that right there is like, and then that's how Luke becomes Red 5. Oh, and the freaking little note to the T-15s, and that they're becoming obsolete.
Oh yeah, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
just a quick and that little line right there made stormtroopers people. That they're bullshitting about vehicles. They're not just mindless soldiers. They're talking about the next Camaro pretty much coming out, and how the old one's becoming obsolete and whatever. And I thought that just little bit right there is what makes this movie so beautiful.
Yeah, lots of attention to detail, definitely.
And some might seem like forced nods, but if you just take a step back and it's like, wow, they're making it a universe. I mean, why wouldn't two soldiers be talking about the new model of a vehicle coming out?
It looks like they take notes from Family Guy. Yeah, I was about to bone my girlfriend, but the Death Star blew up. She said that there was no way.
Yeah, it's just the movie was done very well, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really love how it can stand alone, and even though the buddy I went and seen it with, he did point out one big major fact that, and I talked with you about this earlier today. There was no text crawl. Also,
Oh, that's right.
in the opening title, it just flashes Rogue One. There's
like
no
that.
Star Wars to be seen, so it really sets it up as its own movie. It's not a Star Wars movie. It's a movie in the Star Wars universe.
Yes.
And with seeing that, I would like to see them do stuff that's maybe new and original. I mean, this kind of had already a story built for it. I mean, the next one they're talking about is a Han Solo movie, so it's already got a character. How about not just, two guys at the other end of the galaxy trying to, take on the Empire of their own because they have no connections to the Rebel or whatever. I mean, it's opened up the door to that they can do more than just the grand theatrical multiple movie story arc.
Yeah,
a saga.
create
It doesn't
new
have
characters.
to be a saga. Why does it have to be anything that directly ties? Why do they have to bump into characters? Because you're starting to grow the universe. Don't do a Men in Black and keep it on one planet.
Yeah. I think maybe this will show them that, yes, you can do Star Wars movies that aren't tied in with the big nine. You can have smaller stories with different offshoots and new characters as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I loved all these characters. I enjoyed them, and I probably eventually collecting their action figures as some sort of memorabilia of each one. Because if I had to pick a favorite, it'd be K2SO. And the main reason why, and I pointed this out after the movie, is it's Wash. It really
I'm a leaf
is.
in the wind.
It really is. He's just kind of got he's comedic humor without being completely blatantly just humor for humor's sake.
Most people that I've heard complain about the text crawl, but I liked how abruptly it started. Just like, boom, we're getting into this. This is where we're at. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, and I mean, hell, George Lucas took a chance on it with the text crawl to begin with, and I can see it in the major movies because it's a continuing saga. It's a continuing story.
The Big Nine.
This is its own thing, and again, with the title not coming up, Star Wars: A New Hope, Star Wars,
Rogue One.
It's just Rogue One.
Yep.
It's Rogue One. Even though it's advertised and shown
Star
everywhere
Wars
else,
story.
I would like to see when it comes out to Blu-ray or whatever, it just says Rogue One on it because it can thoroughly and wholeheartedly stand on its own.
Yeah, but they don't want to take enough risk with it to not put a Star Wars story. I hate that title. I hate that title. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Just say Rogue One.
And I can understand why they did it too, because I mean, again, if you're a Star Wars fan, you know Rogue One is a Star Wars movie.
But if you're not, then you're like, what is this?
But then again, there are people out there that probably haven't even seen Star Wars, and I you know, it's whatever, not their thing, and I'm not going to criticize them or talk down to them for that, because everybody has their own interests, you know. But when they did it in the title, it was beautiful, if you ask me. It was just, yes, this is a movie that is going to be its own thing. Yeah,
very good stuff. Rogue One, very good stuff. If you haven't seen it, you have now been spoiled. But at any rate...
Yeah, I apologize to everybody for forgetting the names of the characters. Again, I love these characters. I'm just horrible with names. Give me time. I'm going to go watch it a couple more times, and then maybe I'll get them all. But seriously, the reason I remember Jen Erso so much is it is said at least 100 times in the movie.
Exactly,
just like that.
And I don't even know my favorite character's name, Donnie Yen. I don't think that's a surprise to you.
Well, and it doesn't help. I mean, they did such a big ensemble cast that, yeah, it's for those that have any issue with remembering names, as I do, that, yeah, they're kind of maybe thrown out once or twice. And again, like I said, I barely remember. I remember K2s because it's K2SO, and it said a lot, and Jen Erso said a lot. As far as the rest, I have vague remembering of them saying their names. So
yeah. I think my favorite scene was when Donnie Yen was like, they just got their introduction, and they're like, yeah, there are these monks, blah, blah, blah. And then there's these stormtroopers, and Donnie Yen goes out like by himself and like just thrashes like, what was it, like 10 stormtroopers? Like by himself?
More than 5, yes. And then more come along, and that's when
awesome.
The heavy guy comes out.
And that was awesome too.
And then that's where they do their banter, which sets up their
whole character arc, their relationship. That was my favorite scene. Yeah,
and I have to say, even though it's the saddest scene in my opinion, my favorite scene is when pretty much K2SO is holding the ground, and like when he first encounters the stormtroopers come up, is like, you droid, what are you doing here? And he tries to talk it out, and then he's pretty much like, screw this, and just grabs a blaster and puts him down. And each time they go back to him, he's working the console with one hand and blasting stormtroopers left and right with the other hand. And I mean, it was just great. I mean, he got to play the hero and actually be more involved instead of just going sticking his little plug into a port. I mean, don't get me wrong. Thinking he's so cute. Get me wrong. I love R2D2, and he is the true hero of the original 6 movies. But having K2SO actually play a more active role was a nice breath of fresh air. And I was sad to see him go, but yeah, as soon as they really did a good job of not making it blatantly obvious, but you can feel like the doom and the just the weight of the movie going that route. And it's actually, I feel it's kind of nice seeing a movie where, you know, in the end, the heroes didn't make it, but they did succeed. Adding that darker aspect really, again, sets it on its own platform.
Yep, very, very good. I mean, it was executed very well. The pacing was good. Some people might think there's too much action. Some people might think there's not enough action. I mean, that's whatever. But I thought there was just enough of everything to go around.
And it looked beautiful, mind you.
Yes, beautifully done. Beautiful CG. Beautiful CG faces. But yeah, that's our thoughts on Rogue One. Awesome movie. If anybody has any thoughts to add, go ahead and add into the comments.
And if you disagree, I mean, you're allowed to disagree. I'll tell you why you're wrong, but you know.
Yeah, if you don't like the video, if you disagree, hit that thumbs up button. That'll show us real good.
All right, thanks everybody, and have a good night.
Yep, thanks everybody for watching, and have a good one.